All right, please be joined this time by one of the best coaches in the state of Georgia, man. We got a treat today. Coach Tucker Pruitt, head coach at Fitzgerald, coach, been a state champion, been a state runner-up a few times. The last 3 years you played to the last week of the season, Coach. That's really, really impressive, man. First, congratulations on a great run. Second, thanks for joining.
Yeah, well, it's been a blessing. It's been 3 great years, and we got some great kids that love football, and we've been blessed. And it's great to be on with you, and I appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. We're going to talk about some culture stuff today, which I'm excited about because I watched your teams play, and you got some good athletes. You guys got some good coaches, but there is a tenacity and a togetherness that they play with, and really excited to hear what you got to say, Coach. So let's get rolling.
All right. Well, yeah, first off, this is my, information down at the bottom, my email and phone number. If any of this stuff, if I can help anybody, if you want to know more about any of this stuff, just let me know, and we'll go from there. So basically what I'm going to talk about today is just kind of, touch base on our culture and kind of the three pillars that we kind of build everything around, the three things we really focus on. And those are discipline, accountability, and toughness. Every one of our players has one of these wristbands, and that's what it says on it. It's got our family logo, and it says discipline, accountability, and toughness. This is what we talk about. This is what we prioritize. This is what's important to us, and this is what we feel like helps us win games. And one thing that knowing that this is so important and it's what we built everything around, sometimes you got to ask yourself, well, what are we doing to get better in these areas? What are we doing to make our team more disciplined? What are we doing to hold kids more accountable? What are we doing to make our kids tougher? If we believe that this is what wins games and this is what we're going to build our program around, what can we do to cultivate progress and growth in all of these areas on a constant basis? And so that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today. And I won't be long, but I'll go over some of the ways that we, not only talk about this, but that we try to improve on it daily. And I'll start kind of with discipline. We tell our kids all the time, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And one of the first things we do as a team every year is we sit down, we get the seniors out, once their season's over, and we sit down and we make our goals. I kind of sit back and let the players take control of that, and they kind of map out what they say they want to do throughout the year. And then most of the time, our goal is to win the championship. And so I kind of sit back and let them pick their goals, and then I'm the guy that's there reminding them all along the way that you guys said you wanted to win a state championship. You said you want to be the best team in the state, and if that's our goal, then everything we do should look like a championship team. The way we warm up, the way we attack the field, the way we lift, the way we focus in our film and our walkthroughs, all of that stuff should look like a championship team if that's what we say we're trying to be. And so that's a high bar, but that's kind of what the standard is. And so, like I said, we tell our kids all the time, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And one of the ways we incorporate some of this is in our warm-ups. We're going to get behind the line and we're going to finish all the way through the line. And we're not just talking about that. I'm going to have two coaches right there on the line. And I'll be in the middle starting them, and I'm going to have two coaches at the finish line, which is normally 10 yards away. We're doing the normal stuff that everybody does. It's high knees, it's high kick, it's karaoke, it's shuffle, blah, blah, whatever. But it ain't what you do, it's how you do it. And we're going to start behind the line, and we're going to finish all the way through the line. And a lot of people think that doesn't matter, but to us, that does matter because we're trying to get our kids to be detail-oriented and focus on the little things. And so we start – behind the line, and day one, the first time anybody's toe is on the line, coach is going to let me know, or I'm going to see it. We're going to stop. We're going to spread out. We're going to get 5 up downs, and we're going to go right back to work. And the next time somebody steps on the line and they're on the line and not behind it, we're going to stop. We're going to spread out. We're going to do 5 up downs. The first time anybody doesn't finish all the way through the line, get through the line, get one more rep, leave no doubt that you're finishing all the way through. If not, we're going to get 5 up downs. And some days early on, that's all we do. We may not do nothing but that. And maybe we get a little bit more, maybe we don't, but we're laying the groundwork that how you do everything is what matters. And so if you see us even in pregame or halftime before a game, if somebody's on the line, you may see us spread out and up down. So we're just trying to get them to pay attention to detail and understand that there's a certain way you do everything. Another thing we do some days on our speed days is we'll do perfect tens. Kind of structured the same way as our warm-ups. I'll have 2 coaches on a start line, 2 coaches at half court. We normally do this in the gym. 2 coaches at half court there, and then 2 coaches on the other side to start them and send them back. And so we'll go in about 5 or 6 different heats, and they're going to stay behind the line. When the whistle blows, they're going to sprint all the way through the line. And if any one of them coaches at the halfway point don't think that they're going full speed, or somebody pulls up, or somebody was on the line, or went too soon, we're just going to give them a thumbs down, and we're going to say the person's name for why we gave them a thumbs down. So, not only are we saying it wasn't good enough, we're letting the whole team know exactly who pulled up or who's not running full speed or whatever it is that those coaches think. And so we're going to get 10 perfect ones before we leave. And so, again, we're not just running sprints, we're running perfect sprints. And sometimes it may take 30, sometimes it may take 14, but we're going to make sure we're doing everything full speed. And again, just trying to get them to pay attention to detail and go full speed every time. We do a lot of our agilities in stations. We'll have 4 rotations and sometimes 8 rotations. And one of the things we force them to do is whenever we get done, we'll blow a whistle, they'll get a breakdown in their group. And then when we blow that second whistle, they're jogging to the next station. And if anybody stops or walks, we're going to go back and we're going to do that station again. During those stations, if anybody's leaning over, we're going to spread out and do 5 up downs. Just some things that, we're trying to get in line of how we're going to do things and who we're going to be. And it's a lot of little things. And then, we can also, in our toughness, we can restart our toughness stuff. And I'm going to talk about some of that we do at the end of our workouts. But if we're not doing it exactly right, we're going to stop and we're going to do it again. And so we're just trying to teach our kids that everything matters. Attention to detail is very important. We want to do things exactly right. We want to focus on the little things. Most of the time when 2 football teams play, a lot of times they're running the same coverages, the same offensive blocking schemes, the same blitzes. It's a lot of people doing the same things. And a lot of times it comes down to the details and how you do it. And so we want to be extremely detail-oriented in everything we do. And another thing we tell our kids, if you cannot be trusted with the little things, such as just a warm-up, if you can't do that right, then how can you expect us to trust you in the big things and put you out there on Friday night to win a big football game? And so we really believe that attention to detail carries over into our offensive, defensive, and special teams execution. Execution is what wins games, and a lot of times it's the little things. So that's kind of some of the things we do there to try to get our kids to focus on attention to detail and do all the little things right. All right, accountability. Again, we said we're trying to win the state championship. That's pretty much our goal each and every year. And so everybody is held to a championship standard every day. And that's not easy. That's not comfortable. But if we said we're trying to win the state championship, then everything we're doing on a daily basis has to mirror that. And it starts with me. It starts with the coaching staff, and it bleeds right on into the players. And we're expecting everybody's best every single day. Attitude, effort, focus, toughness, those are things that we're going to expect them to show up and do right every day. As coaches, we don't want to coach effort. We don't want to deal with attitudes. We want to coach kids that want to be there, that are excited to play the game of football, and that are ready to work so that we can do what we need to do to get a win on Friday. And so that's kind of the standard. You control you. You're responsible for being on time. You're responsible for sitting up straight in meetings and playing like your hair's on fire. Those are just kind of the standards. And we got some prowlers that are things that we put our kids on. Sometimes when they need some medicine and fall short of that championship expectation. If we coaches in the weight room, if we catch a kid cutting reps, we're going to send them right out there to the prowlers. If we get emails from teachers about kids acting up or sleeping in class, whatever it may be, a kid gets written up, we're going to take them out there and put them on that prowler. And that prowler works really good. It's great for lower body development, but it's also going to force them to make a decision on whether they want to continue to push this prowler or straighten up. And most of the time we've had some success getting them straightened up. We got some player-led accountability. I mentioned just a minute ago when I was talking about discipline, our perfect 10s that we do. Our kids have gotten to the point where whenever we do those perfect 10s, if we get a thumbs down and we tell them who it was, the players have made whoever made us do another one stay after practice. And I don't know if they're doing up downs or push-ups or whatever, but I've heard them calling names, and they're holding the kids accountable that have made us mess up are going to stay after and get a little bit more. That wasn't my idea. That was their idea. And that's always great when you got players leading and taking charge. We tell our kids all the time, on bad teams, nobody leads. On good teams, the coaches lead, but on great teams, the players lead. We're fortunate to have a senior class of about 26 players. I think 23 of them came back from last season. And so we have a really strong senior group, and hoping that they'll continue to set a high standard for leadership around our place. And then another thing we do that I really like, we've done every year we've been here, is our accountability teams. We start that the first week we come back from the second semester. And how we do that is we divide our seniors into two. We put 2 seniors on every team, and they're kind of captains per se. And then we have a draft, and they draft the 2 classes under them. You know, whenever the semester turns, our juniors become seniors in our eyes, and our sophomores become juniors, and our 9th graders become sophomores. So the seniors at that point will draft the next 2 grades under them. And I'm going to show you in just a minute kind of what they're drafting based upon. We got a grading criteria, but they're going to draft people, and then the purpose is to develop leadership. This is me crying out for help. This is me saying, I can't do this all by myself. I need some help in holding people accountable. I need some help in lighting some fires under some guys who need fires lit up under them. This is a way to incorporate some leadership. And the purpose is for those 2 seniors that are on every team to take ownership of their team and help teach these younger guys how we do things. And so obviously it incorporates accountability. Every individual ends up with a score. There's nowhere to hide. Okay. Your commitment level, you know, how bought in you are, there is a numeric number that's going to kind of tell us where you stand in regards to that. The winning team will give them a jumpsuit, a hoodie, a pair of shoes, a pizza meal or wings, whatever they want. But, you know, we want them to compete, and we want them, again, the purpose is to incorporate some leadership and some accountability. And so if I can pull up this template here for you. Let's see. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this to pull up or not, but how we do it is we give them points for grades. Whenever we check grades for A's and B's, for an A, they'll get 20 points. For a B, they'll get 10. For a C, they'll get -10. And for an F, they'll get -20 for every class they're in. So that's a big one as far as scores go. If their maxes go up, we'll give them points for that. If they get in any trouble in school, you know, I think we're -10 for wearing a hoodie in school, -15 for a negative email, -20 for a day of ISS, and -25 for a day of OSS. And so every day that they're out of school for that, or they're in trouble, we're getting some bad reports, we're going to dock their score for that. Another thing that we have is, you know, attendance. They're going to get 4 lifts a week. So if you're going to the dentist and you're going to miss school, well, you're going to get docked -20 unless you come before school or after school any day that week and make it up. And if you don't, we'll even let you make it up the next week. But guys that are sick, you know, when they're sick, we're going to dock them 20 points. And that's fine. Everybody gets sick from time to time, but you're going to make up that workout, and you're going to get 4 lifts a week, because that's kind of the standard around here. We're going to get 4 lifts a week. That's a minimum, and we're going to have to get them. And if you don't, maybe you have a bad week where you had to miss, you can make those up again the next week. We get into our early morning workouts. If you're late, -10. If you miss it, -20. You know, and we'll get into that to where attendance matters. And so when you put all this stuff together at the end of the day, we'll give them some points for community service. But when you put it all at the end of the day, every individual has a score. And then every team has a score, and it really can show you who's bought in, who's committed, who you can trust to stay out of trouble in school, who you can trust to show up and be on time, who you can trust to get all their workouts every week, and to develop in the weight room and have their maxes go up and have good grades. You know, those are the things that some leadership, and also holding some kids accountable with that as well. And the last thing is toughness. You know, championship teams win the 4th quarter. Unfortunately, for us last year in our 15th game, we didn't win the 4th quarter, and we lost the state championship game by 5 points. So we got to be better in this area. But one thing we do to help in this is we end every day in the weight room with something that's toughness. And we like to do that at the end of the day. We have our kids' fourth block. It's been a long day. It's been a long, hard workout, and their body, at that point in time may be wearing out. And so that's when their mind's got to be strong and they got to learn how to push themselves. Some of the things that we do, ammo can, every kid will grab a 45-pound plate, and we're 2 minutes on the clock, and they're going to sit there and they're going to press it, for 2 minutes. Now, obviously, they're not going to be able to go consistently. We'll allow them to take a breath, but then they need to get back to work and try to stay moving. We're obviously not dropping the plate, and we're going to go for 2 minutes right there. And that's a long time, and you're going to want to quit, but they're going to have to keep working. They're going to have to keep pushing. If they're still for too long, we're going to stop, give them a quick rest, and then we'll try it again. But that's another good one. We like to do that on upper body days when they're already kind of swole up and burned out, and then let them go at it and kind of let them push themselves there and try to grow. Plate routine is a little routine we'll do with some upright rows, some triceps, curls, and we make them do 15 reps, and they got to stay together. They got to count. Our Bama routine is just shoulders, where we'll get 10 forward. We'll get 10-pound dumbbell in each hand or plate, and we'll go 10 forward, 10 to the right, and then 10 bent over, and we'll do 3 rounds of that. But they got to count. They got to stay together. And if they don't, we just give them an opportunity to start over and do it again. Perfect push-ups is one that's always really challenging. We have them on a cadence, ready. They'll pop up and say ready. They go down, up, 1. And then we'll go to 15. Now, we make them, when they go down, pick their hands up off the ground. Obviously, we all got some big guys that don't do the best push-ups. So we're going to make sure that everybody lays on the ground, picks their hands up, and then pushes their body back to an upright position. And down, up is 1. We'll do 15 of those, and we got to stay together. And then, we end up starting over a good bit of the time, but it lets them grow, and it definitely helps them with toughness and helps them to push and understand the importance of doing it right the first time. Because if you got to do it again, that's 30 more push-ups in a minute and a half. And a lot of times we'll get right there to the last 30 seconds and somebody drops. And so, again, we're just preaching toughness, and we're preaching do it right the first time and push through the pain. And that's a good one for us. Elbows and toes is something everybody does. We'll go for 2 minutes. If somebody drops, we'll do it again. Some days we may get into some competitions where they can partner up and do some elbows and toes. First man to drop loses, and hope that they'll push each other and compete right there. And then we've done some team clean and jerk competitions where you got a group of 3 or 4 and you get in there and get as many as you can get, and the next man goes, and we go for a period of 3 minutes and see who got the most reps. Again, give them an opportunity to compete and let them do something that's kind of pretty tough there at the end of the day. And so not the competitions, but a lot of the other stuff, we're reverting back to the discipline where you can do it right or you can do it again. And those are our options. And when we don't do it right, we're going to do it again. And, again, I feel like that helps us grow. It's not all physical, but a lot of it's mental. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to create adversity for our kids each and every day. Whenever we've won a couple close games this year, we came back and beat Irwin County and had to throw a touchdown with 40 seconds left to win that game. We had to hold on against Northeast Macon the next week. Overtime game against Rockmart in the 3rd round when we never led the game until overtime. And, we get into some of these tough moments, and, we're expecting our kids to perform in a certain way, but what are we doing to train that? And what we want to do on a daily basis is create adversity for our guys. So when they get in that bad situation, when we're down 14 and it's been a long game and things haven't gone our way, they know how to battle and they know how to fight, and they don't have to huddle up and make a decision on what are we going to do. We do this on a daily basis, and we're going to play the next play, and we're going to keep believing in each other, and we're going to try to find a way to win. And so, we don't do everything right, but those are kind of the 3 things that we emphasize: discipline, accountability, toughness. And those are the ways that we kind of try to foster those behaviors and get our kids to grow and progress in those areas.
Coach, that was fantastic. I love the accountability teams. People do different things with that, but the biggest challenge I see with that is somebody keeping up, right? Staying consistent with gathering the data, entering it.
That's somebody is me, and it does
right.
take a lot,
right? And the point is, because I used to do something like that, and people would ask you, and they say, "Yeah, that's great and all," but they didn't have time or whatever. But it takes what it takes, you know. You only got X amount of time in the day, and you put your time wherever you think is most important. But I did believe in taking the time and making things like accountability. Even if I didn't get to do something else, I was going to make time for that. And I think it's good for people to see you doing that because of the success you guys have. Because I watched Rockmart play last year too. I thought y'all had two of the best teams I'd seen. You know, somebody had to win, somebody had to lose. Both teams deserve to win probably. But you're going to, and you coach in the state championship game, same way. You're just going to be around some really good teams, and having that accountability can be the difference, more so than you spending 15 extra minutes drawing up a scout card or other things that have to be done also, by the way. But this doesn't, don't you feel like a lot of people let this part, it's the nice to do, it's like we'll get to it if we can, the overly charting and be holding people accountable and checking everybody's grade and everybody's, you know, I don't even know if there's a question there, but you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it goes back to what you said. It's either important or it's not important. And it's important to us. That's one of the three things that we're focusing on. And so it is tedious. I'll get a text here, so and so with a hood, and I'll have to either write it down, or if I'm at my computer, I'll do it right then. We tally up attendance at the end of the week. The grades, we do it the semester, and we do, or I mean, at the 9 weeks and the semester. And so, you know, so and so with their pants sagging down, boom, minus 10 points, you know, maxes. Every time somebody max goes up, you know, we got to input that, you know, so it's a lot. But again, you know, it's important for two reasons. I think the whole concept of us has helped us develop some leadership. It gives some kids a reason to lead, maybe some kids that wanted to lead, but just weren't taking that step. Well, now there's only two of you on this team, and you're supposed to be leading. So it kind of fosters some of that. And then again, that score to me tells me a lot about a kid. If we've got two kids that are battling for a position, and I got one who's minus 150 and one who's at 310, I'm going to go with that kid because that kid has proven to me over the course of the entire semester that he's more dependable, whether that was conduct or grades or a combination of both, attendance. You know, that can be the tiebreaker. And when some mamas want to sit down with me and say, why is Johnny not playing? I can pull this up right here and I can say, ma'am, here's what's going on. Johnny missed X, Y, Z. Johnny's in and out of trouble. You know, Johnny's, you know, failing the class, and we don't feel like we can trust Johnny right now, you know, so we're going to continue to give him an opportunity to make some positive changes. But right now, you know, we don't trust the kid. So it's good for a lot of different reasons, but like you said, it's either important or it's not, and it is important, and it is also tedious. But I think it's worth every bit of time that we put into it.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. I think that I think people sit around and look for some magic drill or a magic offense or defense or, you know, a play they want to install, and they spend tons of time with that, and then think this takes too much time. You know, that obviously both are important, but you know, are you trying to find a way to just be better? I got news for you, man. Every offense and every defense works. Every one of them. Yeah. You need to find what fits you and what's best for you. I'm not trying to knock that. But if kids are accountable, if kids are tough, if they play with some discipline, that offense or defense that you run is going to look a hell of a lot better.
It gives us our best chance.
Yeah. And it's interesting because people don't, I'll end with this. I don't want to get off on a soapbox, but when we do these topics, less people are interested. If we talk about RPOs out of trips open, people are very interested, you know? And I really think both should be. I think if I was coaching, I'd want to know about both of them. But it's interesting to me from this side now. And then when I talk to the people who have won, it's always about the young teams. It's always about practice. And it's always about these things like toughness, accountability. Like anytime we talked to Gary Rankin in Alcoa, Tennessee. Back then he was at Alcoa, won like 8,000 state championships. And all he wanted to talk about was the young kids, like the JV team and how they practiced them and how they, you know, it was just interesting that what their mind goes to versus the guys that try to get on here and just want to talk about something that they think is some new thing they came up with on offense or defense. I'm not trying to knock those guys, so I don't want to sound like I'm knocking offense or defense. It's just interesting when we watch how much more people are interested in that scheme stuff. They're not as interested in this, and probably a way to make your team better right now, more than anything else you can do, is finding ways to hold kids accountable, finding ways to work in some toughness. Yeah. That's just my opinion. I've been saying this for years. It's not new. But it is interesting that people don't really want to hear it a lot of times, or at least some people. But
yeah, well, that's where my focus has kind of shifted. I was an offensive coordinator, and that was it for me. I was trying to find another play to beat somebody, and that's where I was enamored with it. And there's still that part of me that I still call the plays and I still do all that and I still like it. But, as a head coach controlling these things, number one, being a head coach, the focus has got to shift. I got to get the most out of everybody. And if I'm sitting over there with my head buried between the sand trying to find a play, there's some things that are getting swept under the rug that maybe I'm not seeing. And so, that's where my focus has kind of shifted to is, finding ways to motivate kids, finding ways to be a better coach and put them in a better situation to be successful, both on a Friday night football game and in the future in life. A lot of these things that we're preaching in football and holding these kids accountable for are the same things that they're going to need to know to be successful in the future. And so, definitely, I think, like you said, both of them are important, but this stuff is kind of where my focus is going as a head coach to try to get the most out of everybody in our building.
Yeah, I was like you. I called the plays. I love the scheme stuff. Love it. But I don't know that the investment, the time you put into that, you don't get as much back as the time you could put into this, and that's maybe a better way.
It's culture over scheme. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Culture over scheme.
And if you got to have some ball plays too now. You can't go out there, but you got to understand what you're doing football wise. But I'm going to assume you understand what everybody listening should understand where their deficiencies are there. But if you got 10 extra minutes, find a way to plan that practice a little better. Find a way to hold some kids a little more accountable. Some stuff that's maybe not as sexy, but you'd probably be surprised the investment you get back is a little better than some of the other things. But Coach, I'm sorry for my soapbox, but I can't I can't thank you enough for coming on. Always enjoy talking to you, and you guys had a first-class program, man. You do a great job. I'm always there to help you if I ever can. I don't know what the hell I could teach you, but I'll help you if I can. And anything we can do, man, let me know.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, take care, Coach.
See you.